Hi Frédéric, and welcome to the Maestro Online.
Thank you. Hello.
It's
Welcome.
such an honour to have you. So, tell us about where we are first.
We are in Paris, in the apartment where I live now since many years. It was the apartment of Maurice and Marie-Madeleine Duruflé. And Maurice lived here from a very long time because he was appointed at the church in front of the building in Saint-Étienne-du-Mont in 1930. And he came here very early when he was appointed at this church, where he became organist. And myself, I didn't have the privilege to know him, but I was a student of his wife, the famous Marie-Madeleine Duruflé, who was such an extraordinary musician and teacher. And I stayed here with her 10 years, and she was my teacher, and I went every week to listen to her at the church of Saint-Étienne-du-Mont when she played, and I listened. It was extraordinary to follow such an artist, and she helped me a lot in my musical instruction. And very young, when she gave lessons here at this organ, I came to have my first lessons first with her. And I was very impressed of this extraordinary place, very small, but with a very big organ for the place. Built by the builder González between 1955 and 1967. And Duruflé himself was, of course, under the conception of this instrument, and he made everything for the construction, and he was very happy of the result. The voicer was inside the organ, and Duruflé was himself on the bench, and he said to the organ builder what he wanted. And this instrument is, if we could give a name, it's more neoclassical ideas of what was in France at this time, a mix of classical and romantic and symphonic and modern. The traction is electric, but this instrument is very poetic, and in my mind it reflects really his ideas in organ building, and it's a very interesting and original conception. At the moment the organ is not in very good state because it was last days very hot in Paris, but I think we are going to renovate it and to make it again in very good condition. And I think it's very important also because this organ was the organ of a very important composer. You know that Duruflé is a fantastic junction for us in the organ world between the symphonic era and the neoclassical and impressionistic influence. You know, Ravel, Debussy and Fauré didn't write for the organ, but Duruflé made an extraordinary resume of all this time, and in his fantastic works he wrote very special music, which is so important for us organists. And for me it's very special to live there because of course it's a very nice place for reflection and to practice also, and it's at the same time a place of memory and a place of music and present, you know. And I am very happy to have many students here, and a lot of students of conservatories from America, Germany, England come to see the place where Duruflé and his wife lived and composed. And also I am very happy to help and the young students like Romain Caron, who will play also today for us, and also Christophe Smith, who is going also with us today, remarkable organists, and I'm very happy to talk with them about this subject which is so interesting for us. I mean improvisation, which is a French specialty.
So tell us about your organ journey. What made you start the organ in the first place? Where did you begin?
I was in a small village close to Bordeaux, very young, and I didn't start with the technique and the theory. I was in a church, young boy, singing for the mass in a small choir, and the choir was close to the organist, and I just was fascinating with these two keyboards and stops, very different than the piano and also the pedal. And very young, I was 8 or 9. I started just to improvise, like just by ear. I didn't know any notes, and I started like that, intuitively, on my own. And I started to play chords and step by step, because my family was interested in classical music. My parents listened to Rachmaninoff, Chopin, Beethoven, classical music. Very nice, very good taste. My father had good intuition. Bach, Brandenburg, concert, etc., etc. And I was fascinated, I was interested. And step by step, I continued, I followed my intuition, and I did not know it was music or improvisation. It was just my intuition. And step by step, I studied a little more. And but at the beginning, I was totally on my own and autodidact. I don't know, autodidact. Is it English?
Yeah.
Autodidact.
Yeah.
And it was the beginning of my musical formation, alone. And after, of course, it was really difficult, because I had these gifts, but I had to canalize and to, it was, when you are naturally gifted, you must canalize your energy and your knowledge, and it is much more difficult than to go gradually into a level. But okay, and I had the luck, also the privilege to meet on my way extraordinary people, extraordinary organists who liked me and who I liked very much. André Fleury, I met also in my young time in France, Francis Chaplet in Bordeaux. I was 16 when I listened some improvisations in Notre Dame of Pierre Cochereau, who was extraordinary improviser, fantastic musician. And finally, Madame Duruflé, who helped me a lot.
So how did you come to learn with Madame Duruflé? How did that come about?
It is a very strange story. I was a student in Toulouse, and I was assisting organist at Saint-Cernin, the famous Cavaillé-Coll organ. And Xavier Darras, the famous organist who was organizing a lot of festivals, music academies, invited Marie-Madeleine Duruflé in Toulouse, because he had been students of Maurice in the class of harmony. And he liked very much, he loved the music of Duruflé, he cherished the memory of Maurice, and Maurice Duruflé was dead since 4 or 5 years, and she was invited to play a concert and a masterclass. And Xavier Darras called me, and he said, could you take care of Marie-Madeleine when she stays in Toulouse? And I did, and she started the masterclass, and I played for her. They were some very talented other young organists. And the first day after she started to teach, she left the church from the masterclass, and she stayed in the church. And myself, I stayed at the organ, and I started to improvise. I was very young, 20, 21, something like that. And the day after, she took me, and she said, was it you at the loft yesterday? I said, yes, madame. What did you do? What was this piece? I didn't know. You were playing something? I didn't know the piece. I said, I improvised. What? You improvise? I take you to Paris. I will help you. You don't stay in Toulouse. I take you to Paris. I want to help you. And I said yes. And it was a big change in my life, because I said yes, and I chose to follow her, and it was, my life changed completely. I didn't stay to the south of France, and I was in Paris, and after she was extraordinary teacher, very demanding, very high level. And because she was such demanding, I was a lot in improv, of course. And after I was named at Notre-Dame d'Auteuil, the parish where I am always, a fantastic École organ. Each Sunday she came to the Mass with her sister Eliane, who was also a very gifted musician. And to have known her and them, it was extraordinary in the life. And they didn't have children, and she decided that a musician had to stay here, because she didn't want that the apartment was completely
Empty.
and the organ went. No, she wanted the organ to stay with a musician.
Yeah.
And here I am.
So, you must have also then had to suddenly learn a lot of repertoire with her.
Lot. We did a lot with her. She said to me, I don't have anything to teach you in improvisation, but you have to practice hard. And I had. And she gave me discipline, and we studied a lot of very different pieces, Bach and also Franck. She was very, very special for Franck, because she studied also Franck with Jeanne de Messieux and her husband. Tournemire, Vierne, Dupré, Duruflé, all the French, especially the French repertoire, where she was extraordinary.
So how many hours a day was she actually teaching you?
It was not regular. When I had a program ready, I came.
Yep.
And sometimes I gave pieces which were not, that she didn't, she said, it's not the program that you had to prepare. For a competition, I had difficulty sometimes to concentrate. And she said, go home, come back in 15 days, and you come back here to play by memory. And I had to do, otherwise she would have put me away.
Yeah.
No, she was very, very, very strict. She was one of the most distinguished students of Dupré. A little different than her husband, but they play. It was the same school, the same orientation. He played perhaps more interpretatively, more interpretation pieces, and she was the great technical and high-level performer. Extraordinary. And sometimes, because he was so busy for his harmony class, she had to be always ready in the concert. At the last moment, he asked her to play the piece he had to play, and she had to be always ready. One time at Saint Eustache, he had to play his scherzo, the Opus 2, and he was not very well. He didn't have the courage to play, and at the last minute, he said to her, "Play," and she had to play. It was difficult. And she was very admirative of him, and great talent. Marie-Claire Alain told me, when Marie-Madeleine was at the class, we were all very impressed by her unique talent. Marie-Claire saying that. Yeah.
So, where did your career go after meeting her and obviously studying with her?
Yes, because she prepared me to international competitions.
Yeah.
And I won second prize in Chartres international competition. And 1 year after, in 1997, I won the first prize in improvisation at the Grand Prix International of the town of Paris in improvisation. And János Pallúr, who was from Budapest, a student of Olivier Latry at the Conservatoire, won the first prize, grand prize of interpretation, extraordinary organist. Mm-hmm. And since that time we are very close friends. I admire him very much. But János was very much influenced by the French style.
What would you say are the biggest highlights of your career? What are your best memories?
Oh no, you know, each concert is an adventure. You never know before what it will be. If the concert is very well prepared, you have a big chance that the concert goes well. You know, it's always new. I think I am not in this highlight. No. We are all life in improve, and we try to do our best each time, the best we can. You know, it is necessary to reflect a lot. I don't believe that. Of course, you have to practice a lot, but it's not enough. You have to reflect on the piece that you play. You have to know the life of the composer. You have to know something about the history and the situation of the composer, if it is an organist, where he played, what was his organ, and to be in the spirit of the musician you play.
So every
it's
piece,
very important.
Yeah. So every piece has its own story.
Madame Duruflé said that each piece has his own playing, own style.
Mm.
And Paul Dukas said you have to know a lot and to forget everything when you play, because the power of quality of interpretation is in unconscious. You don't know. You have to know a lot, but when you play, it's a mystery. You don't know why, but you have. I don't know. It's to play well. It's not only technique. Technique is the end of the preparation, and after, to interpretation, subtlety, sensitivity, subtlety. It's another world. It is the beginning. And also sometimes I ask Marie-Madeleine, why do you play a lot of times the same pieces that you have always played? Like the D major of Bach, Prélude et Fugue on the Name of Alain, that she played all the time a lot. She had an extraordinary level, but she liked very much to play a lot the same pieces that she played a lot in her life. And she said, yes, I am able to play a lot of other pieces, but I play that because I like them, and also all the time it's new, and I am in improve, and I think I play better and better. It was also very interesting to me, that
So
information.
you got to play for the British Queen Mother, you were telling me at some point.
Yes, I was student in Toulouse, and the Queen Mother, Elizabeth, came, because each year she did a private travel. She loved France. And she came. It was organized by her secretary, I think. It was very private, and she came each year in a special place of France. And this time, I think it was 88 or 89, she came to Toulouse, and she wanted to see the Basilique Saint-Cernin. And the priest asked me to play organ. And I played a small program, and after I improvised on the God Save the Queen, and I was not supposed to see her. And at the end, when I came down from the organ, she was there waiting for me. Oh my God. And she was extraordinary. Not impressive, very kind. And I remember her blue eyes, and she talked in French. And she asked me some things about the organ, about the church she liked very much. It was a very special souvenir and a very special meeting. But I don't have the souvenir of a distant lady. No, a very close and very nice woman, very warm and very who paid attention to the others. No, very good quality meeting.
What a great memory.
Yeah.
So if you were to give advice to a young organist today, what would be your greatest pearl of wisdom?
I would say, follow your intuition. Play the music that you like. And sometimes also the music you don't like, because you will discover something. Go to the concerts, not only to organ concerts, to piano concerts, orchestra, chamber music. One day, I was very young, I was in Amsterdam with friends, and we went to the country, and it was a string trio concert. And they played the canons of Robert Schumann in the trio. And I was astonished because I discovered a lot of details I didn't pay attention in the organ score. And they played, and I discovered that, and I was fascinated. You learn a lot, and to read a lot of music, and to listen a lot of music, and to go on also to listen to the people you don't like so much, because you will learn always something. And for the organ concert, to go to all the concerts you can. When we were younger, we went, I don't know, Cochereau played, or Marie-Claire Alain, or Michel Chapuis, or Francis Chaplet, all the famous, André Isoire, André Fleury, all the famous organists. And we were not afraid to do 200 kilometers to go to listen to them. And each concert was a lesson. And we learned a lot. And it was real, it was life, you know, it was not like today you push in a button and you have everything you want. No. It was a desire to make, to know more, to discover more. We went to the bibliothèque, we went to meet also famous organists, to talk with them, and we were very happy to go to the concerts and to discover, because each concert of a famous artist is a world, entire world.
As an expert in improvisation, as it's been in your soul from day one, when you hear somebody else improvise and you're impressed by them, what is it that makes you think something is a quality improvisation?
You know, it's a very difficult question to answer. It's like you listen to somebody who is playing a piece. It's the same for improviser. You feel immediately if it is a quality and beauty. If you are taken by the beauty of the music, there is no question.
So it
is beautiful, but why is it beautiful? You don't know.
So it's somebody who can connect with your soul, who can make you feel things.
The supreme art. Somebody who is talented, who is just making music, you know. There are middles to go to a certain beauty, but it is impossible to describe the beauty. Nadia Boulanger, you know, the famous teacher, said about the masterworks, she said, I recognize the masterwork, the beauty in the music, a new piece or a renowned composer piece, but there are no explication possible to this beauty. Why is it beautiful? You don't know. Why the beginning of the Requiem of Mozart is so mysterious, and the beginning of the Requiem of Duruflé, the introit, this atmosphere, this pure beauty. I don't know. It is just given to the world, and you can't explain the genius and the genius or beauty or masterwork. It's impossible. It is something connected with another dimension, which it's impossible to explain in my mind. But there are circumstances which are possible, ability, talent, practice, which allow you to go to this beauty. It's very rare to see somebody who is totally ignorant in music doing extraordinary masterwork in music. It is the result of a long story in life and work, practice, and listen to music and reading music, and to have done a lot. But with the very, very talented people, very gifted, it is the result of a huge and long effort and talent. For instance, Marcel Dupré explained one time that he was at Saint-Sulpice. Okay, he practiced extraordinarily long and years and years and years with his teachers, but one day he decided to improvise a double fugue. You know what he did a lot with the first subject and after second subject, and he did that in his works. For instance, the fugue in La bémol, la li la 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 li la la la, and the second thing pam 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 pa ta ti ta ta ta, and the way he's mixing that is extraordinary. And he was able to write that, but he was able to improvise that, and it was really the result of a special brain connection. And Dupré had that. His former students told me, like Jean Guillou or Madame Duruflé, that they went to Saint-Sulpice on Sunday to listen to him improvise. And it was the complement of the academic lessons at the conservatory. They were very impressed and touched to listen to him improvise these extraordinary forms, because Dupré liked to improvise in classical forms, you know. A given theme to him was the possibility to do very specific form. For instance, theme and variations, prelude and double fugue. Richard Carr liked very much this fugue system, and he did that perfectly. Perhaps for him the form was more important than the language, because the language, especially at the end of his life, became more classical, more Mendelssohn, Guillemot, Schumann. It was not so modern than he was certainly at the beginning of his career. He was at the André Fleury told me that he was more improvising in the style of his own works in the 20s, like the language of the Symphonie Passion, for instance. But at the end of his life, the form and the structure was so important, he was so focused on that, the language was less important for him. On the contrary, people like Tournemire or Cochereau, Tournemire, who was a little in the same time of Dupré, because he died in 39, and Cochereau was appointed at Notre Dame in 55 and died in 84, it was completely different, very free. Tournemire, very much influenced by the Gregorian, you know, L'Orgue Mystique, it was the pieces that he composed on the Gregorian. But he was really the real improviser. And Cochereau was a pure genius in improvisation. And he took the language, he made like a resume, like Duruflé, of all the Impressionist and French tradition of the 20th century. And he made fantastic improvisations, really unbelievable, and especially at Notre Dame. This organ inspired him very much, and it was not Cochereau, it was not the organ of Notre Dame, it was something energetic, and you were just, when you were at the loft, it was just magic, it was pure spirit, pure emotion. You couldn't believe. It was, Cochereau had also this very special power of attraction of the great artists. They play and you are completely fascinated. He had that. He was famous in his time, and he was famous because of his exceptional improvisation talent. And these people, especially Cochereau, was a student of Dupré, could organize on a very special way their ideas. Sometimes people who don't understand completely the tradition of French improvisation, they say, yes, French, blah, 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 they are so free. No. It's another conception as, for example, German, which is fantastic, also different, with counterpoint, with chorale, etc. The French, they are able to organize their ideas, but sometimes the form seems to be free, but each improvisation has its own logic. And to talk about Cochereau was extremely organized in the construction of his improvisation, because he was also a composer. He studied at the class of Tony Aubin, at the class of the conservatory, and he did also the harmonie class with Maurice Duruflé and counterpoint and fugue, and he was really composer. But for him, composition was not his thing, he said. It was much more interesting to improvise, and at unique level and at his time.
I think that's the perfect introduction now into us learning from you.
Very good.
We look forward to this.
We are going to
Thank you very much.
Thank you to you.